Call a special meeting to order. Roll call.
Trustee Peck.
Here.
Trustee Rassich. Here. Trustee Rippey. Trustee Benucci.
Here.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Trustee Fay.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here, rise for the pledge.
Are you standing, Jim?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. None.
Trustees' comments. Public comments on items not on the agenda. We're seeking motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Peck.
Yes.
Trustee Rassich. Yes. Trustee Benucci.
Yes.
Trustee Fay.
Yes.
Trustee Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is salt purchase. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to waive the bidding and authorize the village president to execute an agreement and the village board to approve the purchase of 3,000 tons of bulk road salt from Midwest Salt of Batavia, Illinois, to the supplier that provided the lowest quote at a total cost of $321,600.
That's a motion.
Second.
That motion was made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
I have a couple of comments.
Easy, you can hear it.
Why aren't we in a joint purchasing agreement with anyone?
Actually, we were in a joint purchasing agreement, and that's part of what the problem was. We went out with the state of Illinois, as we have for over 20 years. We've been a friendly partner of theirs for over 20 years in buying salt with them. There are about 180 other cities, villages, townships, and counties that actually participate as well in the state program. The state, when they went out for bids this year, admittedly they went out a little bit late, but nevertheless, they didn't get a single bidder for salt. When they did some homework, part of the issue was that there was that they learned was that there was a large swing in what the request minimum and maximums were. So we were asked, and all of the other agencies were asked, to put in our quote-unquote 100% number. We did that. The state went back out for bids, and they were successful in getting a bid for themselves, but not for their 180 partners. So we were given a letter literally August 21st that said, go find your own salt. So that's exactly what we did. It didn't give us, because of where prices are going, and they are growing exponentially larger as the weeks go by, the days go by, didn't give us really a good amount of time to be able to put out a formal RFP. So we went out and sought individual proposals. I say we, it was actually Doug and Pat and Alan that did all the heavy lifting on this. And we were able to secure this quote from Midwest Salt for $107.20. It's a lot higher than what we've ever paid for salt. It's almost double what we paid last year. That being said, all the other numbers across the area from the other agencies that did not get their state awarded allotment, as we've done in, like I said, for 20 years, the lowest number we've seen, it was $97. So we're a little bit higher than that, but as well, we're also a smaller agency as compared to that other group. We did take a look at the other possibilities. We called, what if we had the material shipped ourselves? The shipping costs were about $150 a ton just to get it shipped. So it just made more sense to stick with this particular route. If it makes you feel any better, and it made me feel a little bit better, we called to some of our counterparts in other states outside of Illinois just to see where they are on salt prices, and they as well saw big increases in salt prices. The difference is that I think the state of Illinois was just a little too late in when they went out and trying to secure those numbers for us.
You also want to comment on Shanahan's?
Oh yeah, there have been other groups that tried to assemble salt consortiums, if you will, smaller salt consortiums, including the Village of Shanahan. It looked potentially promising, however, it wasn't able to play out the way that we thought it would. More than likely, based on this, we might very well take a look at doing a Will County Government League consortium next year. We've had great success working with Will County Government League and the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative. It might be a better way for us to go rather than to rely on the state. We also then can control when we go out on the marketplace, and if we can go out a little earlier in the season. I know it's going to seem weird that we're going to secure salt in, say, May, June, or July versus August, but it's I'd rather be safe than pay $107 a ton again.
What does this do for budget?
Yeah, it's going to knock our budget. We have $250,000 that we budget for salt. This is $75,000 over what we have budgeted for our winter events. Tracy and I, though, have taken a look at it. A lot of our other expenditures currently are under control. So we feel confident we're okay there. As well, as you recall, we set aside a transfer from the TIF back into the winter budget for all of the winter work that we do provide. We don't normally end up making that transfer. However, this year, I'm pretty sure we will make that transfer. The hard part is because we did not go out, and here's the other thing, is we could also typically take money from MFT funds to be able to cover that difference. We can't use MFT transfer funds for this because it was not an official RFP. So we just have to eat this cost.
Just want to make a comment about how much we actually have in storage.
Oh yeah, we do. We have 1,500 tons currently in stock. We typically use about 4,500 in a typical year. We use 4,500 tons. So this will give us a typical year's worth of snow, or salt, I should say. There is some concern that it's supposed to be another tough winter like we had last year. The nice news is when you get a lot of snow, you don't use a lot of salt because you plow. The bad news is when you get those crappy one-offs, but Pat and his guys have good plans in the works. We'll put a blend of sand out when we have to. We'd rather not use sand because our residents don't particularly care for the way it tracks into their garages and the like. And Bill already had me promise that I would sweep his garage of the sand if that's indeed the case. But joking aside, we would use sand. We also have beet juice that we can use as a pre-applier to be able to have the salt stick down a little bit better. There's calcium chloride, and I'm driving Jim nuts because he's got a doctor's appointment here shortly. But those are the strategies that we have in mind. So we do have, I think, a pretty good plan B if we get a worse winter.
You've done an excellent job of outlining it. I did want to point out that the salt purchases start in March. So our submittal to the state was back on March 6th of 2014. It wasn't until July 18th that we were made aware that we weren't picked up. So I know that there's some timeline questions that are floating out there, and it isn't a negligence issue. It's just a bids not getting picked up, and we were caught with the usual system failing in this instance.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Question about quality. I noticed that if there's a problem with the product as delivered, that we have to tell them immediately, otherwise it's our problem. And that's fine. I assume salt is salt, but the size of the salt may be an issue. Have we ever gotten anything from this supplier before from this source so we know that it will spread the way we want it to?
We do not have a history with this supplier. We have contacted 4 historical users of this product, and they are very pleased with the quality of the salt, and they found no difference with what they typically use.
Okay, we had no problem. We've never seen a problem with salt, so I think you're saying.
Correct. We haven't used this supplier, but
you haven't seen a problem with anybody else's salt either. I mean,
right.
Salt's granular, and they got to grind it up or get it to the point where they distribute it in the way you want it. I didn't see a specification on here, but I assume that we're capable of handling bigger chunks if we have to.
That is true. Pat has a very intricate system of making sure that that passes through a coarse screening, but
Okay.
it has to do with the moisture content of it and keeping it dry so that it doesn't clump prior to application and freeze up.
Okay, just checking. As you read their thing, it's our problem, so I just want to make sure that we're aware of any potential problems or look for it as soon as they get it, so. Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Just 15 seconds here. Based on the timeline and all the information provided by staff, it does appear that us as well as other municipalities were held hostage by the state, and not included on the joint purchasing. We have, not us, but our staff have also gone out and got the best price possible, and that's why we're doing this today. In addition, the adjustment you had said with the budget, that money then would also be transferred, you said, out of TIF if we needed it, if we did go over budget, correct?
Yeah, we have, yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
that would be fine during auditing purposes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sounds great to me. Let's get it done.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to waive the bidding and approve the purchase of 3,000 tons of bulk road salt from Midwest Salt for the total amount of $321,600. Trustee Peck,
Yes.
Trustee Rassich. Yes. Trustee Benucci,
Yes.
Trustee Fay,
No.
Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor Collins.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to adjourn. Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Have a nice weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.